All right, let's dive right into some exciting baseball action from the Roy Hobbs World Series.
You got it. We're breaking down all the highlights from October 29th, focusing on those standout performances.
We'll be running through the game scores pretty quickly today, just like the action on the field.
It's going to be fast-paced, like a rundown of a triple play.
Perfect analogy. Now, let's start with a game between the Florida Lumberjacks and, wait for it, the T-Town Jackos.
And the Jackos came out swinging.
They sure did. They took that one 45-25.
Yeah, an offensive explosion for sure.
You can say that again. Ryan Dehning. Got to give him props. He went 4 for 4 at the plate.
And Darrell Webb had a great day, too. 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs.
Those Jackos had their bats going.
Oh, and they faced the Lumberjacks again later that day.
Really, back-to-back games.
Yep, and they won that one, too, 11-1.
Wow, a sweep for the Jackos.
Total domination.
Yeah.
Jeremy Whelan, the pitcher for the Jackos, only allowed 1 earned run.
Over how many innings?
7 solid innings. He kept those Lumberjack hitters guessing all game.
Speaking of hitters, the Dallas Redbirds took on the Kangaroos RD.
Right, and the Kangaroos won that one 15-2.
So tough loss for the Redbirds there.
Definitely, but their player, Mark Tierney, he went 2 for 2 at the plate.
Pretty good. Did he play any other positions?
Yeah, he also pitched 4 innings for the Redbirds.
Wow, a true two-way player.
Absolutely. Now, let's head over to the Twin Peaks Lumberjacks. They were taking on the Chicago Colts.
Oh yeah, how'd that one go?
The Lumberjacks won 16-5.
Another high-scoring game.
For sure. Ron Obermeyer was the star player for the Lumberjacks, going 2 for 2, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, and a stolen base.
Whoa, hold on. Did you say 2 for 2, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and 2 walks?
That's right, and a stolen base, too.
Man, talk about stuff in the stat sheet.
Absolutely. He was everywhere on the field. Oh, and Devin Hotsko pitched a great game for the Lumberjacks, too.
How many earned runs did he allow?
Only 2 over 5 innings. He helped secure the win for the Lumberjacks.
Nice. Moving on, the Orlando Brewers, they blanked the Clearwater Rays 10-0.
Shut them out completely. Talk about a dominant performance.
Sounds like the Brewers had their pitching dialed in.
You bet. And speaking of the Clearwater Rays, they had a rough day. They also lost to the Pittsburgh Hitmen 12-3.
Wow, 2 losses in one day.
Yeah, not their best day at the ballpark. But Jim Viggs still had a good showing, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored for the Rays.
At least he was able to contribute.
Definitely. He kept his head up, even with those tough losses.
Now those Dallas Redbirds, remember them? They had a tough loss earlier, but they really turned things around.
They sure did. They crushed the PSOF Rangers 25-2.
What a rebound.
Yeah, they really bounced back. Lance Davis had a stellar game, 3 for 3 at the plate, and get this, 7 strikeouts on the mound.
That's been strikeouts.
Yeah, in just 3 innings.
Man, he was unstoppable.
A true powerhouse on both offense and defense. Now, the PSOF Rangers, even though they lost, Tim McCoy still managed to get 2 hits and an RBI.
Good for him. Every bit helps, right?
Exactly. Every play matters. And moving on, we've got the Nova Scotia Privateers. They sailed past the Minnesota Catfish 19-9.
That's a pretty big win.
It was. Dave Cameron, he was the star of that game, went 4 for 5 with 7 RBIs.
7 RBIs. That's incredible.
Yeah, he was driving in runs left and right.
Man, all this baseball talk is making me hungry.
Me too. Thinking what I'm thinking.
Johnny's at PDC.
You know it. Those grilled burgers are calling our names.
And the hot dogs.
Can't forget those. Plus, they have a great team shop there.
Let's definitely check that out later. But first, we've got more games to cover. The South Shore Giants went up against the Florida Lumberjacks.
Another matchup with the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, seems like they were playing everyone that day. So who won?
The Giants won 19-8. JT Toledo had a great game for the Giants, 4 for 6 at the plate with 4 RBIs.
Looks like he had his hitting shoes on that day.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the Limeport Milkmen. They faced off against the DuPage Indians.
Okay, this one sounds interesting.
It was. The Milkmen won 10-3. Chris Saylor hit a monster home run for the Milkmen.
How far did he hit it?
350 feet. Plus, he had 3 RBIs.
Wow. He really delivered for the Milkmen.
Definitely. And speaking of delivering, the Staten Island Bombers, they blew past the Clearwater Rays 15-5.
Another big win. Who's their star player?
That would be Joe Miller. He went 3 for 4 with a 2-run homer, 2 singles, and 2 stolen bases.
He was a one-man wrecking crew.
Exactly. Now, for a closer game, we had the Soanhaka Dragons taking on the Kent Muttons.
Ooh, a close one. Who squeezed out the win?
The Dragons did, 5-1. Bobby Semprini had a solid game, going 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs scored.
Those runs were crucial in a close game like that.
Absolutely. Every run counts. Then we had the Minnesota Web Gems facing off against the NW Indiana Dogs.
Okay, how close was this one?
Pretty close. The Web Gems won 12-10.
So just a 2-run difference. Who led the Web Gems to victory?
Michael Andreas was the hero. 4 for 5 at the plate, 2 home runs, and 5 RBIs.
2 home runs. That's impressive.
You bet. He carried his team to victory. And then we had a dominant win by the Lehigh Valley Rail Riders over the Cincinnati Colt .45s.
How dominant are we talking?
18-3.
Whoa, they really cleaned up.
Absolutely. They had 20 hits and 12 RBIs as a team.
Wow, sounds like everyone contributed to that win.
They sure did. Now, this next one is a bit of a mystery. We know the Nova Scotia Privateers beat the Minnesota Catfish 19-9, but we don't have any individual stats.
Interesting. A win is a win.
For sure. But it would be nice to know who the standout players were.
Maybe we'll get some more details later. In the meantime, let's move on to the Cleveland Cobras. They struck down the Flint Tigers 17-7.
Another big win. Jeff Cunningham played a key role for the Cobras. He went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs.
Sounds like those Cobras were in their strike zone.
And the Orlando Brewers were too. They crushed the Baltimore Crushers 15-1.
Wow, another big win. Who was the star player for the Brewers?
That would be Roman Marcano. 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs.
That's a day to remember.
You can say that again. And how about the Chicago Knights? They triumphed over the Minnesota Bandits 18-11.
The Knights are sounding pretty fierce.
They were. They put on an offensive clinic in that game.
Moving on, we've got the Mid-Penn Phillies. They edged out the Twin Peaks Lumberjacks 14-12.
Another close one?
It was a back-and-forth game. Rob McDonald was the star player for the Phillies, 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, 4 RBIs, and he pitched 5 innings, too.
He was doing it all.
Incredible. And the Swamp Donkeys, they barely got past the Dundalk Nationals, 12-9.
Yeah, Gio Garcia from the Nationals, he had a great game, 4 for 4 with a home run, a double, and 3 RBIs.
Sounds like he gave it his all.
He did. But Anthony Hayden from the Swamp Donkeys was even better, going 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs.
Another 2-home-run game.
These guys were hitting bombs all over the place. The Tidewater Drillers also faced the Chicago Colts again, winning 8-4 for the second time that day.
Back-to-back wins against the same team. That's impressive.
It is. Donald Ossini was the star for the Drillers in that one, going 2 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs.
He was on fire. Then we had the Orlando Braves. They squeezed out a win against the Vukrips Blue Jays, 8-7.
Yeah, a real nail-biter.
Close games are always the most exciting.
You got that right. And then the Lehigh Valley Rail Riders, they absolutely crushed the Florida Lumberjacks, 24-6.
Whoa. Sounds like the Lumberjacks were outmatched in that one.
They were. And the Orlando Braves won again, defeating the Vukrips Blue Jays again, 8-6 this time.
Another sweep.
Yep. Dusty Loy had a great game for the Braves, going 2 for 3 with a double, a walk, and 3 RBIs.
Those RBIs were crucial.
For sure. And the Staten Island Bombers, they also won their rematch against the Clearwater Rays, 15-5.
Talk about a dominant performance.
Al Tolman was key to their victory, going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored.
Sounds like he made some big plays.
He did. Now, this next game had a little bit of controversy. The T-Town Jackos edged out the South Shore Giants 7-6.
Controversy. What happened?
Apparently, there were questions about whether the Giants were using an illegal bat.
Oh, wow. That's not good. Nope. It happens sometimes, though. But Dan Beatty, the pitcher for the Jackos, he had a really good game, kept those Giants hitters off balance, and Ryan Potter came in to close it out with a 3-inning save.
Nice. So the Jackos got the win despite the controversy.
Yep. And then the Chicago Knights, they beat the Cleveland Cobras 16-5.
Another big win for the Knights.
It was. Jason Kozik was the standout player for the Knights, going 4 for 4 with a walk and 4 hits.
He was unstoppable.
You can say that again. And the T-Town Jackos and Chicago Knights both won their rematches against the South Shore Giants and the Minnesota Bandits.
Sounds like those teams were on a roll.
Definitely. Sean Hoy was a key player for the Knights in their second win, going 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 3 RBIs.
He was a hitting machine.
He was. And for our final game of the day, the Cleveland Cobras and the Flint Tigers faced off for the third time.
Third time's a charm.
It was for the Cobras. They won again.
Wow, a 3-game sweep.
That's right. Olpi Puente had an unbelievable game. 3 for 4 with a home run, a triple, a double, and 7 RBIs. 7 RBIs in one game. That's incredible.
Absolutely. He was the driving force behind their victory.
Talk about ending the day on a high note.
Yeah, that was quite a day of baseball.
So many exciting games.
It's amazing how many close games there were.
And those home runs, It felt like someone was hitting one every other inning.
It was a power hitter's paradise.
You know, thinking about all this baseball is making me thirsty.
You know where we should head next.
Johnny's at PDC.
You got it. Those juicy burgers and perfectly grilled hot dogs are calling our names.
And they've got a great team shop there, too. We can grab some Roy Hobbs World Series gear.
Sounds like a plan.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with more action from the Roy Hobbs World Series.
All right, we're back. More Roy Hobbs World Series action coming your way.
You bet. We're fueled up and ready to go after that delicious food at Johnny's.
Seriously, if you haven't tried those burgers yet, you're missing out.
They were fantastic. All right, let's get back to those game recaps. The PSOF Rangers, they bounced back from their earlier loss to defeat the Tidewater Drillers, 13-3.
They came back strong.
They did. And the Clearwater Rays, they finally got a win. They defeated the DuPage Indians 10-5.
It's always good to see a team get that first win under their belt.
For sure. It can really boost their confidence.
Absolutely. And the Baltimore Crushers, they also got a win. They defeated Team Michigan 14-4.
The Crushers were crushing it.
They were.
Yeah.
And speaking of crushing it, the Atlanta baseball team pulled off an upset. They defeated the Minnesota Catfish 14-13.
Wow. What a game.
It was a close one. And the Cincinnati Colt .45s, they also got a win. They defeated the Kent Mudhens 12-2.
Sounds like a lot of teams were finding their groove that day.
They were. Now, how about this? The NW Indiana Dogs pulled off a close win against the Florida Lumberjacks 11-10.
Another nail-biter.
It was. And speaking of nail-biters, the Washington All-Stars edged out the Vogt-Grips Blue Jays 9-8.
Those close games are always so intense.
You can feel the energy. And the Minnesota Bandits got back on track. They defeated the Flint Tigers 11-1.
They needed that win.
They did. Okay, now let's talk about some incredible pitching. The Dundalk Nationals and the South Bend Cardinals had a real pitcher's duel.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
The Nationals won 4-3, but both pitchers, Chris McFarland for the Nationals and David Smith for the Cardinals, they both pitched complete games.
Wow. Talk about go the distance.
It was. And then we had the Bellatinos Red Sox. They defeated the Swamp Donkeys 10-7.
Those Red Sox were really heating up.
They were. Oh, and the Tidewater Drillers, they bounced back from their earlier loss to defeat the PSOF Rangers 10-5.
They were resilient.
That's what you need in a tournament like this. You got to shake off those losses and come back swinging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the DuPage Indians, they got a win, defeating the Clearwater Rays 7-2.
They were playing some solid baseball.
They were. And Team Michigan also got a win. They defeated the Baltimore Crushers 8-7.
Another close one.
It seems like those Crushers were involved in a lot of nail-biters that day.
They were. All right, now get this. The Minnesota Catfish, they crushed the Atlanta baseball team 13-4.
Wow. Talk about a comeback.
They were on fire. And the Kent Mudhens, they bounced back from their earlier loss to defeat the Cincinnati Colt .45s 12-2.
Sounds like those Mudhens weren't messing around.
They were not. Okay, let's talk about some more close games. The Florida Lumberjacks, they edged out the NW Indiana Dogs 10-9.
Wow, another one-run game.
It was. And the Vogt-Grips Blue Jays also got a close win, defeating the Washington All-Stars 7-6.
Those Vogt-Grips Blue Jays are sounding pretty tough.
We were. Okay, and then the Flint Tigers, they got a win. They defeated the Minnesota Bandits 11-1.
The Tigers were roaring.
They were. Now for some standout performances, the South Bend Cardinals and the Dundalk Nationals faced off, and the Cardinals won 4-3.
Another close one, but who stood out?
Dan Haw from the Nationals, he went 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, a triple, and an RBI.
That's amazing.
It was. He was a hitting machine that day.
He was. Okay, what else did we have?
The Swamp Donkeys defeated the Bellatinos Red Sox 10-8. But Paul Schaefer from the Red Sox, he had an amazing game.
What did he do?
He went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs.
Talk about a power hitter.
Absolutely. And then the PSOF Rangers, they defeated the Tidewater Drillers 8-6, thanks in part to Chris Frazier.
What did he do?
He went 2 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs.
Wow. He really helped his team get that win.
He did. And the Clearwater Rays defeated the DuPage Indians 10-5 with Kevin Griffin leading the charge.
What a game. What did Griffin do?
He went 2 for 3 with a double, a triple, and 3 RBIs.
He was on fire. Okay, what else?
We had another couple of close games. The Baltimore Crushers edged out Team Michigan 8-7.
Another one-run game. They were everywhere.
They were. And the Atlanta baseball team, they defeated the Minnesota Catfish 14-13.
Those close games, they really keep you on the edge of your seat.
You got that right. Every pitch matters.
Yeah.
And the Cincinnati Colt .45s, they defeated the Kent Mud Hens 12-2.
Sounds like a dominant win.
Yeah, it was. They were playing some great baseball.
Okay, what else do we have?
The NW Indiana Dogs, they edged out the Florida Lumberjacks 11-10.
Another nail-biter. Those Lumberjacks really kept things interesting.
They did. And the Washington All-Stars, they also got a close win, defeating the Vukrips Blue Jays 9-8.
Wow, so many close games that day.
It was incredible. The Minnesota Bandits bounced back from their earlier loss to defeat the Flint Tigers 11-1.
Nice. Those Bandits were tough.
They were. Okay, now let's talk about some more standout performances. The Dundalk Nationals, they defeated the South Bend Cardinals 4-3.
Another close one. Who impressed you in that game?
Well, the pitching was great on both sides, but Jeff Harkins from the Red Sox really stood out. He went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs.
Another 2-home-run game. These guys were launching them out of the park.
They were. And then the Tidewater Drillers, they defeated the PSOF Rangers 10-5.
Another win for the Drillers.
Yep. But Tony Moore from the Rangers, he stole the show.
Oh, yeah. What did he do?
He went 3 for 3 with a home run and 4 RBIs.
He was on fire. What else did we have?
The DuPage Indians, they edged out the Clearwater Rays 7-6.
Another one-run game. It seems like almost every game was a nail-biter.
You're not kidding. And Team Michigan, they defeated the Baltimore Crushers 8-7.
Those Crushers just couldn't catch a break.
Nope. But it made for some exciting baseball.
It did. So what's next?
Let's wrap up today with a few more exciting matchups from the Roy Hobbs World Series.
We're back with more. More Roy Hobbs World Series.
Yep, we're in the home stretch now, bringing you the final games from October 29th.
All right, let's jump right in. The Atlanta baseball team, they pulled off another win, this time against the Minnesota Catfish, 11-10.
Those guys sure loved those close games, didn't they?
They did. And speaking of close games, the Cincinnati Colt .45s edged out the Kent Muddens 13-12.
Another nail-biter.
Yeah, those Colt .45s, they just kept fighting.
And how about those NW Indiana Dogs? They bounced back from their earlier loss to defeat the Florida Lumberjacks 14-13.
Another one-run game. Those Lumberjacks, they just couldn't catch a break.
Nope, but they sure kept things interesting. And the Washington All-Stars, they also got back in the win column, defeating the Vukrips Blue Jays 9-8.
Another close one. Seems like there were a lot of those on October 29th.
There were, but hey, that's what makes baseball so exciting, right?
Absolutely. You never know what's going to happen until that last out is made. Now, let's talk about a couple of games that weren't so close. The Minnesota Bandits took down the Flint Tigers 12-2.
The Bandits definitely made a statement with that win.
They did. And how about this? The Dundalk Nationals, they shut out the South Bend Cardinals 7-0.
Dominant pitching performance right there.
Absolutely. Those Cardinals just couldn't get anything going.
Nope. Okay, now we had the Bellichinos Red Sox. They edged out the Swamp Donkeys 10-9.
Another close one. Those Red Sox, they had a way of making things dramatic.
They did. They were always in it until the very end. Okay, and then we had the Tidewater Drillers. They defeated the PSOF Rangers 11-10.
Another one-run game. It feels like almost every game came down to the wire.
It was an incredible day of baseball. And how about the DuPage Indians? They took down the Clearwater Rays 12-11.
Wow, what a game. It's amazing to think about all these teams and players battling it out on the field.
It is. The Roy Hobbs World Series, it really brings out the best in everyone.
You know, it's not just about the wins and losses. It's about the love of the game, the competition, the friendships.
Absolutely. It's a celebration of baseball.
Well said. Now, before we wrap things up, I have one last question for you. If you had to pick one team or player to watch as the tournament progresses, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's so much talent out there. Let me think. Okay, I'd say keep an eye on the Chicago Knights. They've been playing some impressive baseball, and I think they have a real shot at making a deep run in this tournament.
I agree. They're definitely a force to be reckoned with.
And of course, we can't forget about Opie Puente from the Cleveland Cobras. That 7 RBI performance, unforgettable.
Absolutely. That guy can hit.
He can. So there you have it, our deep dive into the Roy Hobbs World Series action from October 29th.
We saw some amazing games, incredible individual performances, and a whole lot of heart out there on the field.
It was truly a celebration of baseball. And remember, if you're heading down to Fort Myers for the Roy Hobbs World Series, be sure to check out Johnny's at PDC.
Those burgers and hot dogs are a home run. And don't forget to grab some Roy Hobbs World Series gear at the team shop.
So, until next time, keep swinging for the fences, and we'll see you at the ballpark.